Any Helmbeck units at 21779 and RD 457.
You guys remember a while back, I told you that CMMG in Missouri sent me 2 of their multi-state legal Dissent rifles? Well, I was super excited to test the BR4 rifle in 5.56, since that's my EDC rifle caliber, but they were nice enough to send me this BR3 rifle as well, chambered in the all-powerful .308 caliber. Now, they offered me this big bore rifle in 8.6 Blackout and 6.5 Creedmoor as well, but I've always been a fan of rifles that are chambered in calibers that I can find at my local gas station, so I chose the .308. Now, all of this came about because of you guys. Back when I did the Foxtrot Mike Ranch rifle video, you guys are the ones that told me in the comment section that I needed to try the CMMG Dissent series rifles as a option to the multi-state legal rifles that I'd been reviewing recently. Well, as it turns out, the BR4 rifle that I reviewed happened to be the best of all of those multi-state compliant rifles. Now, the BR3 Dissent is just a big brother to the BR4 series of featureless rifles, and on my BR4 video, I had a few guys telling me I was full of crap and this wasn't a 48 state legal rifle because it has a muzzle device and is therefore not allowed in New York. Well, if you stuck with the video past the first 30 seconds, you probably heard me say how CMMG sells their BR3 and BR4 rifles with a crowned, non-threaded muzzle called their Empire profile barrel. And although they don't market these rifles in New York, they are actually legal there. That leaves just you poor bastards in Washington and Illinois as the only states where you still can't get your hands on one of these awesome Dissent rifles. And I'm still blown away that Washington has gotten more nutty than even California. This BR3 officially qualifies as a battle rifle due to its beefier caliber, but since very few of us are battling anything other than heart disease and diabetes these days, it would also make a great general purpose or hunting rifle when you just need that extra punch. Need to punch through solid core doors? This is your jam. Having trouble reaching your local neighborhood ISIS member through a car door or windshield glass? The big old BR3 got you, bro. And before the naysayers claim their fill-in-the-blank rifles will work better, know that the BR3 runs just as fast and shoots softer than any AR-10 rifle that I've ever used. It's far lighter than any M1A configuration, even the overhyped SOCOM. And my rough field testing of the BR3 with a low-end LPVO in diminished light conditions yielded 1.5-inch groups at 100 yards. So with a good scope and a proper rest, I'm confident that I could have gotten 1-inch groups out of this beast easily. The BR3 Dissent comes with either a 16.1-inch or a 20-inch barrel, and it has an adjustable carbine-length gas block. The barrel has a 110 twist, and it's topped with their zeroed muzzle brake, and let me tell you from recent experience, this brake works. It keeps the muzzle flatter than Taylor Swift's sweater. That's pretty dang comfortable. I shot this rifle extensively from the bench and from prone and offhand, and I can say this is easily the most controllable .308 that I've ever shot. Staying on target? Easy. Fast follow-up shots? Easy. I had to keep reminding myself that this was chambered in .308. The direct gas impingement system needs no description. Y'all know how well that works. And the whole system is covered with a 15-inch rail that has a plethora of M-lock rails at the 3, 6, and 9 o'clock positions. It also has a full-length pick rail at the 12 o'clock spot, so you can mount just about any of the lights, lasers, scopes, grips, rangefinders, or flux capacitors that you can choose. And remember, their BR4 series comes in about 1,000 smaller calibers like the 5.56 they sent me. Speaking of flavors, all of CMMG's rifles can be ordered in the basic armor black, but also charcoal green, coyote tan, midnight bronze like this one, as well as sniper gray, titanium, and my favorite, the tungsten gray, the same color they sent my BR4 rifle in. CMMG builds their receivers from 7075 T6 aluminum, the same stuff the Terminator was made from, so you know it's tough. The uppers have all of these cool looking lightning cuts without going all New York Fashion Week on you. Inside the lower, you're going to find what looks a lot like a typical AR-10 hammer and sear, but notice the strut that moves the single stage trigger to the rear of this elongated receiver. That's necessary to go with the Remington 870 buttstock, and it eliminates the evil pistol grip that senselessly kills thousands every year. The proprietary bolt carrier is attached to a dual recoil spring system that I think is the secret sauce in making this beast shoot so softly. And those massive springs then send the bolt back forward again and bam, you're in the fight. Now, I'm no gunsmith. Sometimes I can't even figure out how to put my guns back together after I clean them. But in my untrained opinion, this recoil system is easily the most efficient and reliable of all of the compliant rifles that I've tested over the years. And a quick aside for the grouchy dudes who always show up in the comment section saying, "That's too much for this rifle. I could buy a Bear Creek Arsenal for whatever the price." Keep in mind that CMMG has completely redesigned the internal operating system on the BR3, so it isn't an AR-10 style rifle. That's the whole point. Most big AR manufacturers order bins full of parts, and they just assemble their rifles with somebody else's mass-produced parts. CMMG makes their own bolt carrier group and gas operating system. This means the rifle is going to cost a few bones more than a rack-grade AR. And since basic M1A rifles are going to run you $1,800 to $2,200 these days, the $19.99 price tag of the BR3 really isn't that bad. Guys like me probably aren't going to own a bunch of semi-automatic 308 rifles, so investing in one good one is just a smart move. And all of you guys who cry over the price of some of these guns, we're guys. We often spend crazy money on fancy cigars when the drugstore Dutch Masters will do. We buy Rolex or Omega watches when a cheap Casio still tells the time. Or maybe you've spent your kids' college money on tricking out a classic car when a Hyundai Elantra will get you to work. Sometimes we just like nice things, and it's okay to ask your wife for money to get those things. Hey, if you guys like this video, hit the thumbs up down below. If you don't like it, keep your mouth shut. Who asked you? Back to the show. The BR3 is built with a bolt catch, bolt release on the left side, like almost every semi-automatic rifle ever since Moses. But the mag release is ambidextrous, and although that's a nice touch, the mechanics of using a traditional rifle stock like the BR3 means you can't hit that right side mag release with your shooting finger without breaking your grip and sliding your hand forward. Now, some guys think this is a deal breaker, but I think those guys probably drive Priuses and wear Uggs in the winter. I found the slight hand slide forward technique to be pretty easy once you practiced it for all of 2 minutes. To be honest, I found myself using the left side mag release with my thumb. It's in the perfect position. Same with inserting a new magazine and hitting that generous bolt release. You just beer can grip the mag straight into the flare to mag well, and your thumb is right there to drop the bolt. Now, I'm betting most of you that are watching this aren't rappelling through the window of a foreign embassy to rescue a Swedish volleyball team anytime soon. So we all need to relax and open our minds a little more about things you aren't used to, like controls in unusual places. But this doesn't mean you are allowed to start daydreaming about Vin Diesel. The only control I wish were in a different location is the crossbolt safety that sits right above your trigger finger. You also have to break your firing hand grip to hit the safety on and off, and this can be slow and awkward, just like me. I found myself using my offhand thumb and coming up from underneath to put the rifle back on safe. But remember, the internal design of the BR3 makes it impossible to put the safety any farther forward. So I'll just have to live with it, but somehow I think I'll be okay. The BR3 ships with two 10-round Magpul magazines because it's designed for restrictive states. But fear not, my pretties, any old Magpul or AR-10 magazine will fit and function just fine. I used a Magpul's 20-rounder for most of my testing, and the only negative was that it burned up ammo twice as fast as the 10-rounder. It's just math. I ran about 300 or 400 rounds out of the BR3. I shot good Remington stuff and cheap Turkish stuff and even some 1968 Lake City Vietnam era stuff that I bought from a veteran about 20 years ago. This stuff was so corroded it looked more like a green crayon than a .308 round. Now the BR3 shot all but 2 rounds of this old junk, and obviously it had zero problems gobbling up the newer stuff I fed it. Hey, while we got a second, a big thanks to my Patreon supporters. I don't keep a lot of .308 ammo on hand, so thank you guys very much for helping me set this rifle up with a decent supply of some old .308 and some new .308. Thank you very much, and if you want to join our Patreon, go down to the link below in the description section, and you can help out OG's Danger Show. Thank you very much. The rifle was so much fun to shoot that I ended up shooting every last round of .308 in my stash, even the good stuff I was trying to keep on hand for a rainy day. I even bought a box of this fancy Federal 168 grain Sierra boat tail match target ammo to wring the best accuracy out of the rifle, and it's crazy how much tighter it shot than some of the Turkish machine gun ammo. The BR3 weighs only 9.2 pounds without a magazine, so it's very light and maneuverable for fast multi-target engagements. It's about 43.5 inches long, so it's longer than most AR rifles, and that's because of this Magpul buttstock that just doesn't collapse. But it's still a very agile rifle, and it would serve you just as good for a defensive rifle as it would a hunting rifle. I liked this rifle so much that I sent an email the other day to my contact at CMMG asking if I could just buy this rifle instead of sending it back. It is that much fun. So even if you live in a free state like I do, you're going to love this rifle. It's as accurate as most .308 bolt guns. It's as fast as most AR-10 pattern rifles, and it's much lighter and quick to the shoulder than any M1A. Plus, the magazines won't cost you $60 a piece. For those of you who are stuck behind enemy lines in the blue states, in my humble opinion, this is the only way to go. You can use one tool to solve your hunting and your big bore defensive needs. Look at all that money I just saved you, having to buy a semi-auto and a bolt gun. Tell your wife she can send her thank you card and maybe some of those blueberry muffins she makes you on your birthday to my P.O. box in the description section of this video. I want to thank CMMG for sending me these rifles out for testing. I didn't know anything about them before this, and I am truly, truly impressed. This is actually one of the more favorite platforms that I have going these days. If you want to help OG's Danger Show, go over to Southern Gals Crafts, use the link here in the description, and pick up some swag. Buy yourself a t-shirt or a mug or a hoodie. Winter's coming up. Not only will you be helping out a little mom and pop shop, but every one of your purchases gives a couple dollars back to OG's Danger Show, and I thank you very much for wearing our stuff. All right, I hope you like this. I'm very impressed with this rifle, and I very, very, very much endorse it. I think if you need something like a .308 semi-automatic battle rifle in your arsenal, this is really the only way to go. This is the only type of operating system and brand that I would even look at if I was in that market. I am that convinced this is a great platform. You guys stay safe out there. Stay armed whenever and wherever you can. Things are getting nutty, and in a few weeks, they're likely to get nuttier. So until next video, OG out.